Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is my review for The Bridge, Season 2, Episode 11, Beholder, and wow, this was a fantastic episode, by far best episode of the season, I loved it, and again, just like last week's, every single episode of this show, best episode of the season, really, it is just that good of a show that every episode just gets better and better and better, and this episode was just fantastic. One of the things I loved about this episode was we kind of got a little bit more in depth with a lot of characters, especially Eva and Steven. We got a lot more in depth with them, with their sort of relationship going on there. And there was a lot more interesting stuff going on. The ending of this episode was so intense, and I loved it. And I can't wait for the next episode. We only have 2 episodes left of this season, sadly. And again, guys, I'm surprised by how much I'm enjoying this show. I never expected to like the show as much as I did, and I love the show. It gets better and better every episode. So, let's just get to this episode. So, if you remember at the end of last week's episode, Galvan took Robel's daughter. You know, he took Robel's daughter, not Robel's, Sebastian's daughter, Sarasola's daughter. And we find out what his plan is. His plan is he's making a movie. And it's not off to a good start. It's kind of like the ISIS group. I hate to bring that into it, but think about it. The ISIS group made a, if you guys don't know about the ISIS group, I'm not going to go into further detail, but of course they made a movie about someone getting beheaded. He's making a movie about shooting Sebastian's daughter. And when he did that, I'm like, okay, he is going way too far because it's not off to a good start at all. And it's a very funny scene, actually, because he's trying to film a video message for Sebastian Sarasola. However, the gun isn't even loaded. It was hilarious to watch because it's just like, you think it could be this really dark scene, but The Bridge has a way of putting comedy in there, and I really love the way they do that. I mean, The Bridge just has a great way of doing that, and I really do love that, definitely. So, you can definitely tell that this is not going to work out for them, and I just thought that was a fun way to start the episode, because again, it could be a really intense scene, and it's really not. So, after the Red Ridge View massacre and Eleanor's capture last week, there was a federal investigation underway all about Eleanor, because that's what Sonya has decided to do. Now, I was wondering what Sonya was going to do. She, as I predicted, is decided to interrogate Eleanor. Now, the feds, though, are interrogating Sonya and her role in everything that has happened. And I really like what Sonya talked about here because this makes a lot of sense here. She explains about the deal that was made with the DEA, basically admitting to them that she was approached to run an off-the-books operation. She even tells them about how the CIA was supposedly blocking their job, and the men, one of whom is the shady CIA agent we've seen throughout the season, tells her that Eleanor is now under the Department of Justice jurisdiction, meaning Sonya is not only allowed to question her, She's not allowed to interrogate her, she can't do that, and Sonya's enraged at this. She really wants to do something about it, but she can't at this point. And the thing is, though, Sonya is, what no one is realizing is that no one is taking Eleanor's situation quite lightly. I agree with what Sonya said. She killed an innocent kid here. The kid was dumb, but she still killed him, and no one really is taking that lightly, and she's very frustrated. She's trying to protest, but the men are responding about a question about whether she's taking medication, and states that there's a diagnosis in her file, and it has nothing to do with the investigation, but it's a way for them to prove to her that they have the upper hand. So, they really just... It really shows, one of the things that The Bridge does very well is show how Sonya is the only female detective here, and how they still do treat her, they still do kind of segregate her and things, and I like that The Bridge shows that. I just think it's a cool thing that The Bridge shows. It's not something that I feel like they would show, and I like that they show that. I just think it's something cool that they show, in my opinion. But the thing about Sonya is that she doesn't really care about that. She finds a way to get in the same room as Eleanor anyway. Even Eleanor knows that Sonya is not allowed to question her, but she goes along with the situation, and Eleanor talks around Sonya's questions until she reveals that she only works for herself, not Galvan or Sarasola, and Sonya asks her why she does what she does. I just thought this was such a great scene, because think about it. Everyone's really rude to Eleanor. Eleanor's gotten shit from literally everyone, probably her whole life. She's gotten shit on from everyone, and she hasn't really had much of any encouragement at all. Sonya's really the first person to be kind to her, if you think about it. I read this on Twitter, and I agree with it. I was reading people tweeting on Twitter, because I want to hear what people are thinking about the show, and I agree with people are saying that Sonya's really one of the first people to be kind to her and show her some sort of kindness. And basically, Eleanor says she wants to be free, and that's really big. She doesn't want to be working with Galvan or Sarasola. She wants to work for herself. That's who she works for. She works for herself. And the thing is, Eleanor is a really bad villain. She is. She's a very evil woman, but you care about her, and you really don't want to care about her, but you do, and the way they do that is so well done, in my opinion. So Sonya brings in the lock of hair that Eleanor stole and stored in her ledger, and which Hank led her to. And Eleanor's interest spikes, and she asks Sonya about her mother. Now, Sonya says her mother did what she could, and Eleanor explains what her mother did, how she ignored her as her abuse went on, and it's the first time we've seen Sonya look genuinely sorry for someone in a long time. Sonya doesn't really look sorry for someone, and she actually felt really bad for Eleanor, and I mean, she has every reason to. Eleanor's had a fucked up life. She really has. Her life has been fucked up, definitely. So, their interrogation ends up getting busted. She's ushered out of the room in a very rude way. The guy's just like, get out of here, you don't belong here. And the thing I like about this episode is we really showed a lot of Sonya acting very kind towards people, and I really like the way they showed that in this episode. Definitely something that I really liked about this episode a lot. So, yeah, I really like that. Now, meanwhile, Galvan is in hiding. He and other leaders and gangs are fighting over control of Juarez, and something needs to be done soon to rid the city of corruption once and for all, because there's too much chaos going on. They can't have that anymore, because it will just keep on festering, and there'll be more and more and more, It's just, there's too much going on. So, after speaking with Sonya, Marco says he knows where Galvan is hiding, and it's the same hideout his own father had used in the past. So Marco's very determined to work with the Marina, who is Mexico's Marines, to pay a visit, and that is when I knew, okay, this episode's about to get extremely intense, because Marco knows where he's hiding. Marco knows where he can find him, and that's really awesome that he knows. I thought that was just really, really awesome. I was really looking forward to seeing what was going to happen there. So Adriana and Daniel, they, meanwhile, are visiting the DEA's agent funeral to speak with his wife, because remember, they found out something last week, and they're trying to investigate more about it. That DEA agent that died, they go to his funeral to speak with his wife and see if he told her anything important that will help them with their story. Now, his wife is like, you're at a funeral service and you're asking me questions? Now, I understand why a wife would be upset. I mean, it kind of makes sense. If two people went to a funeral service and they just wanted to interview the wife, obviously she'd be kind of upset about it. But she decides to go along with it because she realizes what they're doing. And his wife says that he had a very special project in the garage. So they head over to his house and break into his garage. And we see poor Yankee and boxes of paperwork. And Daniel and Adriana pick up the boxes and they run. So that was really big. There's more about that a little bit later. But I thought that was a really good scene. So Sebastian sees Galvan's video threat, and the moment where you see what he finds out he's doing, you just feel so bad for him. He's hurt. He actually cares about his kids. He does. And the thing is, Sarasola is one of the few people that actually cares about his kids, and Galvan really just a really bad man. The thing I like about this season is they're making us root for, even though Eleanor's the main villain of the season, she's more likable than Galvan is. Galvan is this really evil man. He really is. He's really funny. Like, the scene in the beginning was really funny, but the thing is, like, we're not supposed to like Galvan at all. Eleanor is a character we're supposed to sympathize with. So, Sebastian is trying to get help from a high official, but no one really wants to get involved with him. Probably because they're scared of him, which is understandable, because, if he could do that kind of damage, imagine what kind of damage he could do to them. So, I thought that was definitely very big, what happened there. So Galvan is very bored waiting for his plan to begin moving. His hostage is being very difficult, and she is refusing to eat. And at this point, she's more annoyed with her kidnappers than frightened. She's just annoyed. She's like, she doesn't even seem to care. She's just annoyed. And Galvan hears music playing from a nearby party, and he decides to crash the party. And the partygoers just go silent because they're scared of him. They're obviously scared of him. I mean, think about it. He is the leader of the cartel of this group, basically. He's the leader of them, so they're obviously very scared of him. So he approaches the host and his daughter to congratulate her on her quinceañera, and he gives the father some cash and asks to dance with his daughter to pretend that he was never here. I thought that was really funny, actually, that he did that. It's just really clever what he did. Galvan was really funny in this episode. He really was, because, like, he's just like, here's some cash, I was never here, I'm just gonna answer your daughter casually, alright, bye-bye. I thought that was really funny because it's like he scared all of them, and then he just like covered it up by saying, alright, here's some cash, I'm just gonna answer your daughter, alright, that's fine. So I thought that was really funny, definitely, that he did that. I definitely thought that was funny. I wasn't expecting that, but I thought that was really funny. I liked that they had a lot of humor from Galvan in this episode. Not really something I was expecting, but I really liked that they did that. I wasn't expecting it, as I said. So, Daniel and Adriana, they're going through the DEA's paperwork, and they learn that the DEA wanted to stop the money flow to the cartels, and the CIA wanted to keep it going. So, that's really interesting. You know, he wanted to stop them. So, they're understanding how deeply corrupted this entire situation is turning out to be, and I thought this was really good, what Adriana did. Adriana goes back to her girlfriend, Lucy, and Lucy is safe. You know, Lucy's wondering why she wasn't at the hospital, because we find out Lucy's okay. So I'm glad Lucy's okay. I was happy that she was okay and everything. And basically what ends up happening is she ends up breaking up with her girlfriend to keep her safe, because she knows the kind of damage there, and she doesn't want anything worse happen to Lucy, especially the fact that Lucy could have died. You know, that really scared Adriana. I definitely think Adriana did the right thing there. Even though Lucy doesn't entirely understand what's going on, I think she kind of understands why Adriana broke up with her, even though she doesn't completely understand it. And then we get such a sweet scene. I thought this was such a sweet scene, what happened here. This really shows how kind Sonya is, and I really like this, definitely. Her mom is in grave danger, and we haven't really heard much about this. And knowing that her mom is in danger, Sonya decides to pay her a visit. So she buys her mom lunch, and her mom is in very bad condition. When I say bad condition, she's living out in the streets near, like, cardboard boxes. She's not in good condition at all. Not someplace that I'd ever want to live. Not anywhere that I wish any of you would want to live. None of you would probably want to live there. Just not a place for anyone to live. And she buys her mom lunch and gives her money to leave town, but she doesn't explain why she wants her to leave, and her mom just accepts that. And she also tells her that Dobbs died, and her mom seems to not care, surprisingly. Probably because her mom's just in such a bad, state of living that that's not her main concern right now. And she asks Sonya why she wears her sister's coat, because it's not going to bring her back, and it's true. Sonya needs to realize it's not going to bring her back. And Sonya just tells her she likes wearing it. She understands she can't explain the connection she feels to her sister by doing so. You know, she understands that, but she has this connection to her. I thought that was just a really good scene. It really shows that even though Sonya knows she can't bring back her sister, she'll always have this bond with her. Even though her sister is dead, she'll always have that bond with her. And I thought that was just a really sweet scene. A lot of really sweet scenes in this episode, surprisingly. A lot of comedy in this episode. Just a lot of mixed emotions in this episode. The Bridge could be a show that's just action, action, action. And it was not in this episode. And it was still the best episode of the season because of the way it was done. And that was just such a great scene, in my opinion. The way that was portrayed. That was awesome. So meanwhile, the CIA is transferring Eleanor into federal custody. They then head out of custody, and the CIA agent by her side, she tells him that she can clean up this mess, so she can make everything right. But first, they need her ledger back from Sonya. So Eleanor kind of wants to clean up things, make things right, just be free, as she said. Be free, basically. She just wants freedom. So Sonya sees the car outside her place and decides to keep driving. She just decided to keep driving. She's not gonna, she just doesn't want to be a part of this. She's already getting yelled at so much. Everyone's treating her like shit, so she's like, you know what, I don't want to be involved anymore. They don't want me involved. Fine, I'm not involved. That's simple. So, if they don't want her to be involved, she's not going to be involved. So she decides to just get away from the situation and just keep driving, which I thought was a smart move. I thought that was good what she did. So meanwhile, Marco. This was awesome the way the episode ended. This is how the episode ends, and this was awesome. He meets with the Marina. Now, if you remember, Marco says he knew where Galvan was. Now, Marco explains that he wants to go alone, but they don't want him to. So, therefore, he heads into town with two dressed-down men from the Marina, and he visits an old friend. They share a beer, and Marco gets sort of confirmation of Galvan's whereabouts, and he leaves. And Marco and the men arrive at a place, and he decides that he's going to go alone. Now, at first, everyone was very worried that he'd go alone because they know the kind of damage that Galvan's going to cause. And he said that he wants to do this alone, though, because he knows what's going on. He just wants to do this alone, so he decides to. But the men don't listen, though, and it gets worse because the man freaks out at a kid causing a scene. They're not even freaking out at Galvan, they're freaking out at a kid causing a scene, and the handy sniper that Galvan has on the rooftop comes into play. Sniper shoots the men as Galvan's guards take Marco into the lion's den. So, basically, Marco was paired with two very stupid people, because one was a pussy, one just freaked out over a kid, and he was shot. So Marco really has got himself into a very bad situation, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in the next episode, because Marco now has himself in a very tight situation that he's not going to be able to get himself out of this. It's not going to be that easy. It just can't be that easy to get himself out of this, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in the next episode because of this. Now let's get to the subplot. I really like the subplot in this episode with Eva and Steven. I thought this was really well done in my opinion. One of the things I will say is we have not seen them since the episode. What episode did we see him in last? I think it was episode, was it 9? I believe it was episode, no, it was episode 8. The last episode we saw them was episode 8, and we didn't see them after that. You know, we found out about Steven's past, but we didn't find out about anything after that. So they're still driving around, and they're enjoying some frozen pops. You know, they're scooping out their next victim. Robbles, that's their next victim. You know, they want to kill Robbles, that's who they want to kill next. So Eva asks Steven to shave his beard, but he jokes that it has superpowers, and Eva convinces him, and he at first is like, you know, he doesn't want to, and I thought it was cute between the two of them. I like them as, you know, as a couple, and we see him trimming his beard. Now, she wants him to shave his beard, basically to get rid of the past, let go of the past, because she doesn't want to live in the past anymore. She's sick of it. Because, if you remember, you know, Eva and Linder, they were separated for so long. Linder waited for Eva, that's who he waited for, and that's why he grew the beard, and because of this happening, she doesn't want to live in the past anymore. So she literally shaves him right down to the skin, and I, again, did not see Season 1, so I was very surprised that he looked like that. I did not expect Linder to look like that. I did not expect Steven to look like that. He looked much younger than I thought he actually was. So he's finally clean-shaven. She kisses him and goes right for it. They have sex, and it's a very beautiful sex scene. She's moving, basically, this is them moving on from the past. It's not easy, and she gets scared in the middle of their romantic encounter, but Steven assures her that it's okay. They're finally away from the past, and they can now move on, and I really like that about this episode, that message. I thought that was just a really well-done plot, and I really loved their plot of the episode. Thought it was really well done. But overall, this episode was fantastic. I absolutely love this episode, and let's talk a little bit more about this episode. Again, one of the things I loved was the way that we saw someone be kind to Eleanor. We really saw Sonya be kind to someone. She cares about Eleanor. She wants to help Eleanor somehow. She can see that Eleanor is a very damaged woman, which she is. We know that Eleanor is a very damaged woman, and she wants to help her because she's also a very damaged woman. If you think about it, she is. You know, even though she, you know, is over her sister's death, she's never going to get over it fully. So she and Eleanor do connect a lot, definitely. And I like that about the two of them. That the two of them in that scene in the interrogation room, that was perfect because they are very much alike. Even though Eleanor is definitely going to go about things different than Sonya was, they're very much alike in the fact that they're both very much neglected. They're both not really respected. Eleanor's not respected because she's just not. All her life she's been getting shit on. And Sonya's not respected because she's the only woman who is one of the detectives. She's the only woman, and she's bossed around so much. And I really like that because I always love it when the show touches upon that. I think it's really cool that the show had a deeper meaning to that. And I definitely really enjoyed that about this. Also fantastic. Really did love that. So I'm really wondering what's going to happen with Sonya and Eleanor. I really hope that Eleanor does fix things, because it seems like at this point she does want to fix things. She wants to fix things. She realizes she's done wrong, and I really hope she does try to fix things. Her mom, Sonya's mom. I don't know if we're going to see her again. I really don't know if we're going to, but her mom didn't seem to care about her sister dying, you know, pretty much because, you know, probably because she is just in such a bad state she doesn't care anymore. You know, Daniel and Adriana, I thought it was best that Adriana broke up with Lucy. I just thought it was the best thing to do. You know, she's trying to protect her. It's the best thing to do. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. You know, they're very deeply corrupted, and things are not going to end up well for them. Because of her doing that, that makes me think something bad's going to happen to either Daniel and Adriana. I don't think they're going to die, but I do think something bad's going to happen to them, because we only have 2 episodes left of this season, so definitely something bad is going to happen to them. Galvan was hilarious in this episode, especially the quinceañera scene and the beginning scene. I really enjoyed those scenes, thought that was really good. But Marco has got himself into a really bad situation now, and I really hope for Marco's sake he's okay. I really hope he'll be okay. I'm sure he will be, but we'll have to see what happens there. And then Eva and Linder, it was just really cute to see the 2 of them, you know, the interactions between the 2 of them. It was good to see them, you know, let go of the past and move forward. I really liked that message of the episode, and I thought that was also very well portrayed. But overall, I really enjoyed this episode. Again, a fantastic episode. By far, best episode of the season. I love that this was more of a dialogue-driven episode. There wasn't a lot of action going on. But even though there wasn't a lot of action going on, it was still the best episode of the season. You can have it be dialogue-driven and still be very interesting. And I really liked that about this episode. And that's really why this show is fantastic, is because the show actually works best, in my opinion, when there's not a lot of action going on. The show works best when there's conversations between people, and that's one of the things that the show does really well, is just having conversations between people. We find out a lot more, and it's a lot more interesting than just action, and I thought that was definitely really cool. Now, as much as I like last week's episode, this episode was 10 times better, in my opinion. Definitely 10 times better. I will see you guys in my next video, though. Let me know what you guys saw this episode, and I will see you guys in my next video, which I guess won't be till Friday, because I don't have really anything else to review to you guys till then, because I don't watch anything on Thursdays yet, not till October 2nd, which I'm hyping up. That's when the Vampire Diaries comes back, but until then, I have nothing to review for you guys on Thursday. So I will see you guys on Friday for my review of Girl Meets World, so I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.